Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are having a great day today. In this video, we're going to check out two of my all-time favorite instruments, and I think two designs that could really go head-to-head for the title of Best Design Guitar of All Time. So some criteria before we launch in. I wanted to focus on large-scale makers for this video, guitars that you can find in almost every shop. Now that being said, small operations, boutique makers, and specialty makers are making some of the most innovative, unique, and exciting designs out there, but for this video, we're going to focus on the large scale. And the other criteria is these manufacturers needed to have an upper range and a lower range so that these models are widely available to everybody. So that out of the way, let's look at my picks. All right, here are my picks. We've got Music Man and Paul Reed Smith. Now this video is not going to be primarily a tone comparison between these two guitars, although I will do some playing, so stay tuned for that. But really it's going to be an engineering and design comparison because that's what really makes these guitars great. All right, so let's go step by step through these guitars. I'm going to make my case why I think these are some of the best designed guitars ever. These are not new designs. They're some 35 to 40 years old, so proven designs, but let's talk about why I think they're so great. Well, let's start up with the headstocks. What we have here is a Paul Reed Smith Custom 24 and a Music Man Silhouette. This is the 20th anniversary model. Now, both of these designs have been widely criticized by traditionalists, people who play Gibson and Fender, really disparage both these designs because of their unique looks. But these designs go beyond just unique aesthetics. There's a reason why they're designed this way. So let's start with the Music Man. Now there's a reason why this is pretty much the ultimate headstock. Short in length, straight string pull through the nut, locking tuners, no string trees. Pretty much the ultimate design. And we should also stop and pause to say how gorgeous this is in this kind of vintage violin burst. Looks absolutely amazing. And of course it's a Music Man, so we get locking tuners. I believe their Sterling line has locking tuners on almost every model as well, so that's really awesome. Now Paul Reed Smith took a slightly different approach than Music Man, who created their own headstock. Paul Reed Smith took an existing design and re-engineered it to perform better. Now a couple of the main advantages to this design is that you pretty much get straight string pull in the nut, which is awesome. As you can see, the tuning machines actually narrow as they get to the headstock instead of widening like a Gibson or traditional design. So that is awesome. You get locking tuners, this time from the top. Unfortunately, the SE line does not get locking tuners to my knowledge, so hopefully, as time goes by, like Music Man brought to their Sterling line, Paul Reed Smith will bring that to their SE line. Here's hoping. And Paul also wisely moderated that headstock tilt back, just enough to keep the strings in the nut. That's all you need. Paul Reed Smith guitars almost never go in for headstock repairs, which is awesome, and it's a function of that design. So both makers make absolutely fantastic headstock designs. They're designed to hold tune. That's the whole function. That's why they look like they do. It's to hold tune, and both accomplish that really well. Overall design for me goes to Music Man, and overall aesthetics for me go to Paul Reed Smith, but that's just my opinion. Both are absolutely amazing. All right, so let's move on and talk about the actual designs of the necks. Now, really comfortable, easy, accessible playing necks. That goes for Sterling and SE as well. I featured both guitars prominently on my channel, so you can search if you want to, see some comparisons using the lower end models. But yeah, both have 10-inch radius. That's actually my favorite radius, even over a compound radius, which I also like. But I find that 10-inch radius just the sweet spot. Slightly flatter than a Fender, slightly rounder than a Les Paul. So both models have that, and I find it just super easy to play on. Medium jumbo frets, fretwork is great on the lower end models and the high end models. So really, really easy, well designed, easy playing, beautiful necks. Now aesthetically, it's a bit of a wash for me. The birds on the Paul Reed Smith are absolutely gorgeous. Gotta give them props for bringing them to the lower end SE line as well. But on the back of the Music Man, there's a bit of a surprise as well. Now while the Music Man looks quite plain on the front, on the back it's got this really beautiful, insane bird's eye maple neck. So it just depends on, the aesthetics that you prefer. Something fancy on the front like the PRS, or something fancy on the back like the Music Man. Well, let's keep on moving, shall we? Let's talk about the heel joint. Now, the Music Man heel joint is beautiful. Right from the beginning, outclassed almost everything else on the market. Now, so many manufacturers are doing that, and good on them, because every manufacturer should. So comfortable, aesthetically beautiful. It's got the 5-bolt design, holds that neck on tight. What more can you say? Full access to the 24 frets, great design. Now, PRS guitars feature a glue-in joint and a nice thin body, and although it doesn't quite look as ergonomic or as easy to reach as the Music Man, we've got to note that this actually meets the body at the 22nd fret. So 12th fret is way down here. Oh, actually it's not even on camera, sorry. It's yeah, way past here, and full access even though it's a glue-in joint, so good design. Now, the bodies on both guitars are well designed. They're lightweight, they're balanced, they're ergonomic, they offer crazy upper fret access. So really well playing guitars. And again, the lower end ones, just like the high end ones, really, really great, easy to play. And of course, this finish on the Music Man is so easy on the eyes, absolutely beautiful. Now, I don't want to forget that Music Man also has the truss rod adjustment right up here. What a great design, full access. You don't have to, remove any compartments, and it's super easy to adjust. Now, just like the Music Man, the Paul Reed Smith body is lightweight, super well balanced, contours everywhere, supremely playable, full access to the upper frets, 24 frets on this model, some neat contours around the control knobs, which I think is just a core model thing. I don't think the SEs have it at this point, but anyway, lightweight, balanced, plays perfect. And of course, Paul Reed Smith is known for having insane flame tops. This one is a gold top, which I think looks really cool, but most have those just jaw-dropping flame tops. So yeah, really cool design. Well, so far there's not too much separating these models. Both of them achieve great results, but in slightly different ways. So let's move on and talk about the Trem Systems, which are really important. Now, for me, the two best guitar designs that are mass-produced, that have upper and lower ranges, have to have a good non-locking trem system. We don't want new players fiddling around with Floyd Roses and that kind of stuff. It's too much trouble. Locking tuners on one end and a great trem system on another is all you need. So my first professional guitar was a Music Man. I played exclusively on it for about a decade, and then I haven't played on a Music Man for another 10 years, but we've got one here now and it's fantastic. So I just took for granted that these trem systems hold tune because I had a Music Man. They just work. And it wasn't until I tried a lot of other models that I realized Music Man has something special. And part of that is the headstock and the other part is the trem system. But these guitars just hold tune. Now, the Music Man trem is a 2-point trem, and on this particular model, which is the Silhouette Anniversary, we've got bent steel saddles. I prefer block saddles myself. They're easier on the hand, when you're resting them. Pop-in bar with a set screw, so, no play in the system. Absolutely fantastic. Now, the PRS trem is a 6-screw design instead of the 2-point, and it kind of keeps on that theme where Paul takes something, known and trusted and re-engineers it to work better. So most of us would, associate a 6-screw trem with a vintage Fender, but I'm happy to say this trem system works fantastically well. And we do have block saddles here. So even though we sort of have the vintage screws, we get the block saddles, and on the Music Man, we get the more modern 2-point trem, but with vintage saddles. So kind of back and forth, but I'm happy to say both trem systems work well. Now, while we're here, we might as well take a peek in the back. Trem system, traditional, nothing too crazy, just works. Big old brass block, which is excellent. And the wiring, nice and neat and tidy, no areas of concern. Now, likewise, the trem system on the PRS is a traditional design with a big old brass block, so that's great. And of course, the wiring is neat and tidy. Now, at the bottom of the control cavity, you can actually see the back side of the flame maple top, which is pretty interesting. This model has that exposed flame maple sort of as binding that goes around the whole body, so it's a really beautiful touch. All right, so now that we've looked at these guitars from head to toe, and I've sort of showed why I think these are some of the best models currently available, let's do some tones. So I'm gonna bring in some old clips of the Sterling and the PRS SE. I no longer have those guitars, and then I'll incorporate, some of the higher end clips as well. So I'll do some noodling. Let's check out those 4 different clips. those clips really illustrate how easy it is to play on a well-designed instrument. Doesn't matter if I was playing, the PRS Core model versus the SE, or the Music Man versus the Sterling. I could still play the way I wanted to, using the techniques that I wanted to, using the emotion that I wanted to. So it really translated between, all the designs because they're just well-engineered instruments. So here are my final thoughts on these two models. Let's start off with the Music Man. And really, there's not much to hate about this guitar. That's why it made the list. It's lightweight, it's ergonomic, it's got a great trem system, holds tune, ergonomic, full access to the upper frets, satin on the back of the neck. It's just check, 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 check. Amazing guitar. And the Sterling models get high marks from me as well. Really great instruments, for well under $1,000. So really great. I think the one thing to note is a lot of Music Man models have the narrower nut. So some people like that, some people don't. That's not true of the Petrucci models. They have wider nuts, and maybe some of the other signature models. So definitely something to look out for, whether you like the narrower nut or the wider one. Now, as for the PRS, it pretty much checks off all the same items as the Music Man. Just a great designed guitar, and like I mentioned before, kind of accomplishes the same thing, but in a slightly more traditional manner. So it just depends what you like. The one thing I would change is I would love a satin option on the back of the neck. It is kind of sticky high gloss, and some people like the high gloss necks. Other people don't. I think the SEs also have painted maple necks, so they're still high gloss. So in the future, it'd be awesome to have the option for some satin finishes. So let me know in the comments below if you guys can think of any other large-scale guitar manufacturers that make top-notch designs in multiple price tiers. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. You can check out the t-shirt store in the video description below, all that stuff. Have yourself a great week. Take care.